Welcome to another episode of the Nigerian File. I am your host, August Badagry. If you've been paying any attention to Nigerian news or have traveled to Nigeria, I know somebody who has, you've likely heard about the change made by the federal government and Central Bank of Nigeria to reissue new currency, the Naira, and the related denominations, which of course sent things into chaos because it was decided and planned and executed prior to the general presidential election coming in February. The impetus that the government gave was to get more people using the banking system and also to stem corruption. Now, the former has been a problem for a very long time. Anybody who's been to Nigeria knows it's primarily a cash society. Always has been from my memory. Modern banking is really a more recent thing, and it has gotten better. But still, most places outside of major metropolis, you need to have cash on hand. Even within major metropolises, it's only going to be particular chain restaurants or larger establishments, commercial establishments that will have a point of sale, POS, where you can use your debit card there. And this will be, more often than not, a domestic debit card. But still, for anything outside of that realm, you're looking at cash on hand. And particularly for those who aren't part of the 1% of the 1%, you're going to need cash. And so we're left with, unfortunately, because of the way it was rolled out, a lot of chaos. In comparison, in the United States, for example, the way they typically introduce, the Federal Reserve introduces new currency is more stealthily and gradual. They essentially pull currency out of circulation as it comes into the bank while feeding new currency in. Now, with that said, it's much easier because it's a more developed banking system. So it makes it a lot easier to do that. I do think if the U.S. was more like Nigeria with more of a cash system, they would run into some of these same difficulties. However, the piece that I think would have been more useful in the sense of Nigeria's execution of this is, first of all, have a lot longer runway from notifying the public to execution to completion, all that. So it's more gradually over time instead of the attempt to stuff it all within 6 months, especially prior to the election. One, it caused a lot of chaos, particularly around the holidays, where a lot of people come back to Nigeria for Christmas, New Year's. And also, it's before a major presidential election. So that's almost the worst time to do it because you have a lot more people traveling, using the bank system, and you have a major event. And so a lot of chaos ensued. Even people who said, okay, it is what it is, let's try to get new notes. It was hard to get new notes from the bank. They were told you have to use the ATM in some cases. There were limits to how much you could withdraw. Those that did go to ATMs, sometimes you would get new notes, sometimes you would get old notes, and a lot of chaos. And I mean by that, the Central Bank of Nigeria has tried to stem that by being more flexible on limits and trying to really push it through. There was talk of extending the deadline, but that looks like it's stuck in Congress, as it were. In any case, the reason I'm bringing this up is that this is a big deal. This is a big deal. There has been currency updates in the past, but it's been a long time, and it's never been quite on this scale, the way it's being done. And so it's even more challenging. However, I think it's a good idea in general to try to get more people into the banking system, because once you can do that, you can have more transparency. There's more predictability and means of measure and analytics in the monetary and banking systems if you can do that. But it's not something you can just flip a switch on, especially based on the way the Nigerian society is. It's definitely not a 6 months or even a year thing. You really got to space it out and gradually get people through that. The other part of the problem is that those of us who don't go to Nigeria as often don't live in Nigeria, but may send remittances of money back to Nigeria, or may even be planning a trip and still have Naira that was in circulation when we were last there. In my case, I was there as recent as 2021, twice as a matter of fact. And I got a significant amount of currency just because I was there that often, and I got a sense of how much I would spend and how much I would need to have on hand when returning, in case I didn't have an opportunity to go straight to the bank like I did last time. I was very fortunate the first trip I did in 2021, in that due to the time I arrived, it worked out that I could go straight to the bank, and even that was chaotic. Now, with the currency change, essentially a whole bunch of us in the diaspora basically end up with currency that has gone to zero as of this change. So there's a big rush to either, before the deadline, get to Nigeria, get new notes, or having somebody take your notes who happens to be going to Nigeria, exchange it, and bring it back. That is the option that my wife suggested, and having no choice because I'm not due to go back to Nigeria for some time, surrendered a portion of the money that I did have to have that exchanged. And so, we'll see. We'll see how it goes, because if people on ground in Nigeria are having issues getting new notes, those of us in the diaspora are almost hopeless, in my opinion. But I hope I'm just being cynical and pessimistic, but it doesn't bode very well. It doesn't bode any well. In closing, I am happy that the government is trying to streamline and make the monetary and banking system more efficient. I do look forward to the day where point of sale, mobile banking, online banking is more mature and more widely accepted and available, particularly for those outside of major cities. And I'm looking forward to how it's going to turn out. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Are you in the diaspora looking to get back so you can get some new currency? Are you someone who is in Nigeria that has had troubles or success with getting the new currency? In any case, let us know in the comments below.